let's go back and let's just talk about the Scout. So,
Okay.
what was how did it come to be? What year are we talking? When did Scouts? What was some of that early? Scouts came out in 1961
Correct.
to the public,
Right.
But what was behind the scenes happening in the late 50s?
It was kind of a phenomenal because a group of International Harvester executives were in California, and they saw some off-road vehicles. I don't know what they were. Military, could have been Willys Jeeps. I don't know what, but they came back to Fort Wayne, Indiana, where the design center is, and got a hold of Ted Ornis, who was the head designer, and said, "We want you to design something to replace the horse."
Wow.
Yeah. And
Interesting. And this is in the late 50s.
That's 59.
59, okay.
He sat down at his kitchen table and scratched out a design or picture of what he thought.
Which some of those drawings are in this book.
They're in the book.
I love that.
And 2 years
That's impressive.
from drawing to tooling, that Scout was put on the line December of 61.
One of the things we talk about
Or
is
60.
a lot in this podcast is this concept of going from dream to dirt. Like, how do you go, just as a man, you go like, hey, I want to get out and have some adventure. And you go like, well, I'm going to get a Scout and go do it. So that what is the motivation? What is the thing that inspires you? So 2 years from
2 years from drawing to
in
a production is amazing, because
Incredible.
the Scout 2, they started that concept in 65.
really
6 years later,
Wow.
it came out.
Wow.
So quite a difference, and it's
And
change
honestly-
in technology.
and
too.
they nailed it, man. The
Yeah.
first Scout. So let's situate it in context. So in 1959, there was no Bronco,
Nope.
there was no Blazer,
Nope.
there was a Suburban,
Yes.
there was Travelalls.
Yes.
Do you know? I'm not a big Toyota guy, but do you know when the FJ40 came out?
I'm not up on that.
Okay,
Not sure.
But I think
what there was the Willys.
That's right.
CJ2A
yeah,
and those. See, would the CJ5 been
I think it
out?
would have been a CJ5 in like 64, so 65.
That's what was out there, and it was not anything. It was not the sports utility that the Scout was.
Yeah, and oftentimes I think to the normal guy on the street, the Bronco gets kind of the cred for like being the first sport utility vehicle, but it was the Scout.
Well, it was the Scout.
Well, to be fair, like maybe the Jeep Wagoneer, because like Jeep Wagoneers came out in they came out in 66.
Yeah, but
no, 59
The
maybe.
Scout was a total. I mean,
Total
excuse me,
different,
The
right.
Bronco was a total ripoff of the Scout
Right.
by Ford.
Right.
They right down to. I mean, I had engineers that I'd talked to that said it was almost down to the centimeter. They
Right.
copied everything.
Yeah.
So I can't give them credit for the
No,
SUV.
no, of course not. Of course not.
And then the Blazer was a full-sized vehicle.
Because
So,
Bronco came out in 66.
yes.
So that's obviously enough time to be inspired.
Right.
and
they
more
just
than
basically
inspired.
copied.
Right. And International Harvester took a different approach, because you could, that's all right. You could literally order the Scout with no doors, no top,
That's right.
no back seat,
Right.
right?
So it was a utility vehicle. That's
Yeah.
the utility part, in my opinion. Removable top, removable doors, full top,
in 61 that they came out right out the gate with the half cab
and the full top.
and the full top.
Right.
Did they have any soft top options that early?
They did. Yes.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And they had like a high dome soft top.
They
too, or
did, and they
something?
had like a half cab.
Yeah,
deal.
such
So,
cool stuff,
yeah.
man. It's like the stuff of dreams.
Oh, yeah. And they were very basic vehicles.
Yeah, they came. So now we're 61. It launches to the public, and it is called. What is it called?
The Scout.
Scout 80, or was it just called the Scout?
It was called Meet the Scout.
Meet the Scout.
Right.
Okay, love it. And not too many people know this, and I actually learned it from you in the book, because I wondered forever, like, why did they call it a Scout 80, and why did they call it a Scout 800? I don't know.
That was just model designations.
But wasn't it like had to do with like the load carrying capacity or something? Like it was like an 800 pound.
Yeah, for like half-ton
Yeah.
type. Right. That's true.
So 61 to 65 is called the Scout, or the Scout 80.
Scout 80 is the model.
The model. And they had only one engine,
Basically the 152.
152, one transmission,
Right.
the T93 speed,
Pretty much.
and Dana 27 front axle.
Correct.
And then in the first 2 or 3 years, it was just a Dana 27 rear axle. Pretty weak, though.
Right.
And what I loved about the early Scouts is if you kept them as they were designed and engineered, like if you didn't put bigger tires on them, they would actually hold up. And they were
yeah,
durable.
very well.
But the second, like, as in the 60s, what Scout created was, well, helped create was the people going off-road and exploring and adventuring.
Right.
And then they go, oh, let's put
get a little
bigger,
brittle.
let's put bigger, fatter tires on it. And then all of a sudden the 27's breaking. So probably, I think in 63, they came out with the Dana 44 rear axle.
Right.
So that's doing great. Do you know, I know it's like putting you on the spot, but do you know how many roughly they sold of that 61 to 65?
Oh, that'd have been, I think the first year was 28,000.
Okay.
So
that's successful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was a bumper crop, as they say.
Yeah.
For a vehicle. They didn't expect it.
Didn't expect it.